Gotta love it when you get some blue walls, right? Yeah, I kind of skipped a few ranks and I'm finally back in Diamond, guys. Anyways, this guide is in celebration of that. Hey guys, I'm gonna be explaining everything about Barik and why I think you should learn how to play him, especially if you're a new player to the game. Now, Barik has these three talents. These three are kind of an illusion of choice of sorts, but I need to explain what each ability of his does, not the talents, before I can talk about these. So I'm just gonna choose Fortify, which is his best talent, and I'm just gonna choose a default loadout that works against anything, really, and show you every ability, how to use it, what's good about it, and what's bad about it. So here's the thing. First off, his blunderbuss, the weapon. Now, you're not supposed to be sniping with this weapon, but as you can see, it is a shotgun. Sometimes you hit people you're not even aiming at, right? And sometimes you don't hit anything. So it's kind of really random with how this weapon works. Of course, that's because it's a shotgun. Now, here's the thing. I need you to notice the damage number at this range. It's 250. Now, at closer ranges, you deal 500 damage on body shots, and on headshots, you will deal 750 damage, when you're really close. However, what I need you to understand is this. Even at the maximum distance, well, there is no maximum distance, at sniping distance, you will most of the time hit 250 damage shots, and sometimes you will deal only 100. Now, this isn't bad, as your job when you're poking at that distance is just to reapply cauterize to that enemy. Now, here's the thing. There is a talent, which is called Tinkering, that only helps you at medium-ranged combat, because, as we have already seen, let's just use the same loadout, doesn't matter really, at the sniping range, we used to deal 260 damage, and now I'm dealing 161 at that distance. Now, keep in mind, we weren't dealing anything more than 250 damage at this range. We're now dealing 372. Constantly, by the way. So, Tinkering is a projectile shot that, by the way, does not happen to have headshot damage. No projectiles have headshot damage in Paladins. So, yeah, this weapon loses you the advantage of close-ranged headshots, and it's kind of really bad considering how sometimes the server really messes up projectile champions. So, Tinkering doesn't really see much value when played. Now, let's go back to Fortify and explain something else. Next up, let's talk about Barracks turret. He can deploy up to 2 turrets at a time, each dealing 120 damage every 1 second, and through the use of some cards, can either heal Barik, or Barik can actually heal those turrets, or give them more health. Now, the main use of turrets, really, in point fights is you deploy a turret, let's just put some Caxi bots here, and you use it as a shield. Body block shots with it. Why is that? Well, Barik actually has base health of 3400 HP, which kind of is low for a tank, especially a point tank, which is why you buff it, you buff your base HP with the card Brave and Bold. So, at 4 points, you'll become a 4k HP tank. You need these turrets to body block no matter what kind of a playstyle you're going after with Barik. However, that does not work against blasters. Blasters are those who would deal damage to you and your turrets at the same time, like for example Dredge while he's spamming at the point, Bomb King, Drogos, many champions like for example Leon. She won't even be looking at your turrets. If she just dashes with alacrity, she'll hit your turrets. If she uses Valor, which is her right mouse button ability, she will hit those turrets as well. Many champions happen to have this aspect to them. So the turrets cannot be used to body block in those scenarios. Now, losing the ability to body block with turrets means that running cards for those turrets is not really that good. So if there were no blasters, you might be getting some use out of Healing Station or Field Deploy, which are two turret-based cards that might not be that good next patch, by the way, due to the buff of Cauterize. And maybe you would be getting more value out of a card like One Man's Scrap, which is, a cooldown reduction on all of your abilities by 25% each time a turret is destroyed. Now, this has more value because it's on all of your cooldowns. I need to show you another cooldown in comparison. Alright, let's just use this temporarily. So, One Man Scrap versus Palisade. Now, I'm gonna pull up a calculator real quick. Your shield cooldown is at base 12 seconds. Minus 3 seconds from running the talent Fortify, it's 9 seconds. Now, you reduce that cooldown by 25%, which is a reduction of 2.25 seconds. So 9 minus 2.25 seconds, it's kind of on a 6.75 second cooldown now. Compare that to Palisade. It's only a reduction of 2 seconds, but it's a base cooldown reduction. Meaning that, it might actually be affected by diminishing returns, like I've shown you in the previous video. So be careful of that. I really think One Man Scrap is better because it's not just for your shield like Palisade is, but for all of your abilities. Yeah, not only does it give you more time saved or cooldown reduced, but it's for all your abilities. Keep in mind that I'm not saying that Palisade is a bad card necessarily, it's just that One Man Scrap might be more valuable versus Pammers. Next up, let's talk about the ultimate, Dome Shield. Now, this is considered by many to be one of the best tank ultimates in the game because it deploys a 10,000 HP shield on the point, which is really good at saving you and getting you out of Cauterize unless the enemy point tank or whomever else is nearby is brave enough to go inside of that dome of yours and shoot you to Cauterize you again and maybe even finish you off. So be careful when you use it. So for example, when you're being shot at, make sure you actually have some health before you use it, because now if Khan just dashes into me, I might just die because he'll also shoot me once or twice while he's inside. So don't use it at super low health levels. Next up, let's talk about Rocket Boots, which is this dash. Now, you're not supposed to just use it to run around on the point. I mean, that works sometimes, obviously, since, you're dodging some projectile champions or something. But the thing is, you can actually use it, let's assume the point is over here, you can just use it to run back to some cover, depending on the map, so that you could get out of Cauterize and get fully healed by your support. Out of Cauterize, that is. Now, the thing about the card failsafe, which is the cooldown reset for Rocket Boots, is even if you haven't used your Rocket Boots, this actually grants you 2 charges of dash if you haven't dashed already. Now, what does this mean? Let's look at these 2 cards, for example. Bowling Ball grants you a 600 health shield. This can save you, the 1 shield from this card can save you from another shot from Cassie, since Cassie deals 680 per shot. So yeah, you'll probably live, even though it deals 80 more damage, The thing is, with 2 dashes, this card grants you instantly 1200 shielding, which is really good considering Barik only has 4k base health. Now, this other card has kind of a weird value to it. I'm just gonna put it at 4 points temporarily. Of course, you can't use this in a loadout. But here's the thing. Let's assume you're running this at 4 points. Heal for 200 every 1 second for 3 seconds. So, over the course of 3 seconds, you heal for 600 health. However, you gotta remember, you need to get out of Cauterize. Otherwise, this card is absolutely worthless. Why is that? Well, assuming most case scenarios, what will happen, let me just remove a point from there. What will happen is you will first off dash, then you will shield, and then dash again. You will get probably half the value of the first dash on double time, which is, 300 healing. And then once you're behind that shield, as long as you're not taking damage, you're not getting cauterized. So over the course of the next 3 seconds behind your shield, you will get the full 600. So you will, in the end, have healed yourself for 900, gained 1200 shielding with the 2 dashes. That's how these cards work. And by the way, this loadout is probably gonna be the best option in Season 5, since it works against anything, blasters or not blasters. Except for Willow, just be careful not to run this card against Willow, since, Dead Zone actually stops any healing. So, yeah, Bowling Ball is enough against Willow. Let's take a look at Barrick's win rates depending on his talent. Now, Fortify in keyboard queues on all ranks, Fortify has the highest win rate here with a match count of almost 80k, while Forgefire has 36k. If we only see the Diamond Plus matches, however, we can notice that Forgefire is picked way less, because it's not really that good of a talent, since you lose the best ultimate in the game, the Dome Shield. You lose the shield, you lose your ability to retake the point using the Dome Shield. That's why this talent is bad despite its win rate, So let's take a look at controller queues instead. Now, across all ranks, there's only a difference of 12k matches and not that big of a difference in the win rate. But in Diamond Plus on controller, Fortify is also the most played one. There's a very big difference between these two. Fun fact, even though it's not his best performing talent, it's actually getting a nerf. Because, according to developer commentary, Barik is doing well right now. Forgefire is doing just slightly too well. Increasing the ultimate charge required to fire this ability means its uptime will be more manageable when playing against him. What? Well, here's the thing. Forgefire is a playstyle that completely relies on body blocking, which is why it was more played on console, as we've seen already, because, body blocking works more on console since auto-aim aims at your turrets sometimes, instead of at you, which saves your life. So, as bad as it is, the way that it was intended to be played is against no blasters, because otherwise all your turrets are useless, against any blaster. You would play something like this. Alright, let's put a turret over here. Cat is gonna shoot it. I might shield the turret. I might use another turret. Yeah, it does deal a lot of damage. But here's the thing. You're supposed to use these turrets to body block, and then body block for them. You need them to stay up. Okay? Here's another turret. Yeah, but not in a straight line, of course. It's just that the Catibots don't move, so I kind of have to put them in a straight line for them to take damage for the turrets. What is expected from Forgefire, the bad talent, is something like setting up a turret here, setting up another turret here, like for example this one, another turret here. This is all supposed to be done on the point, so that you can have multiple pieces of cover to dance around. Now keep in mind, while these turrets can block a lot of damage, you are the primary target. If you die, all of these turrets are useless, they will be destroyed. To summarize, tinkering is bad because it changes your good base weapon. Forgefire is bad because it changes your good base ultimate. Fortify doesn't change either of those, thus it became the default go-to talent for Barik. And yes, it is a good talent because it adds 2k health to your barricade and reduces its cooldown by 3 seconds, meaning that it's on a 9-second cooldown like we've shown earlier. So 12 minus 3, 9. Now, when it comes to Barracks Dash, it can be stopped by one of two things. Inara, when she plays Treacherous Ground with a crippling talent, or with Tyra's Burn Monster, which also cripples enemies stuck in it. However, in both scenarios, you literally can just walk out of it. It's much easier with Tyra's Firebomb, you take 1k HP damage, but you still just walk out of it. For Inara, however, since the slow is kind of way stronger, you need to buy Resilience as Barik to, completely shut down that talent from slowing you down. Then you just walk out and your dash is available again. You don't need a special loadout anymore against Cripple Inara. Because, she's probably going to die too fast and melt to whomever is playing damage on your team. You no longer need to consider buying Bulldozer. Now let's talk about the items and how you buy them, especially in Season 5 with the changes to Veteran taken into consideration. So here's the thing. If your enemy team has too much crowd control, or CC for short, you will start the match by buying Resilience. Remember, Cauterize is a game mechanic. You no longer have to buy it. So you start the match with Resilience. Now, there is an issue with Haven since it did not receive a buff to its values compared to Veteran, which did. Veteran now is on a 5% for level 1 or tier 1, 10% for tier 2, and 15% for tier 3. It increases your maximum health. But Haven literally does the same thing without actually increasing your health. Now, what does this mean? Now, look at these champions. Tyra's Firebomb deals 9% of the target, or whomever is being hit by the bomb, the Firebomb, 9% of their maximum health. So if you buy Veteran, you actually take more damage from Tyra. Same thing for Sky's Poison Bolts. Whether or not she's running Debilitate, you take HP percent damage from it. Unyielding Pressure on Vora deals health percent damage. Her ultimate executes you if you're below 66%. Lex's ultimate executes anyone below 65%, unless you block it with your shield, of course. 3 Justice Maeve, your shield doesn't mean anything since she just bounces on you and executes you if you're below 33%. Big Game Cassie, which is kind of rare to see, not gonna lie, but still playable, this deals 8% of your maximum health damage. So, your maximum health as damage. The thing is, you don't want to buy Veteran against any of these enemies because you'll be helping them out instead of helping yourself. Trust me. Even though it's a small number, still don't bother with it. Buy Haven instead. Now, Haven is kind of, more expensive, but Veteran is kind of still okay. Like, there's literally only a 0.5%, I think, between Veteran and Haven right now. And the thing is, Veteran, despite helping these enemies, if there's a Cherish Furia on your side, with the Cherish buff on Furia, this helps her heal you more. Even if it's a tiny percentage, it still helps her heal you more. Alright, also, Veteran helps you with failsafe and similar cards on other champions. Cooldown resets cards when you fall below a percentage of your maximum health are helped by Veteran. Now, the thing about Master Riding is it's an item that's, dictated by your team buying it or the map, which is Ice Mines is the most map where Master Riding is bought because you really need it to get to the point or to, get more space and zone faster. Both teams will need to buy this item on it. Timbermill kind of falls in a similar way to that. Not really all the time, though. It's not needed, but it's really good on it. Shadow Desert, maybe. Now, I only showed Master Riding here because, what are you gonna buy as a 4th item as Barik? Let's talk about that. First off, Chronos. Now, Barik does not really need Chronos in order to become better or anything. So here is the thing. Assuming that there is a lot of CC that's worth buying Resilience for, And assuming that you've only needed one of the two items, Haven or Veteran, and assuming that Rejuvenate actually does get buffed to 24%, or maybe it's gonna stay at 21%, it's still gonna be meta, it's gonna be good because of this. I'm just gonna show you real quick. Maximum core rise in Season 5 is 90%. If Rejuvenate is maximum 21%, you will be still getting healed for a bit, you know. Reduce the effectiveness of any healing by 69%. That's how much core rise is gonna be with Rejuvenate 3 on you. Now, if it got buffed, if Rejuvenate really did get buffed to 24%, like people were saying, it's gonna end up with core rise being at 66% in the late game scenarios. So here's the thing. You're probably not gonna have enough room for anything other than one more item. So Haven, Resilience, Rejuvenate, or Veteran, Resilience, Rejuvenate. The fourth item might be Wrecker if you're up against Fernando, and you know, it might be bought first or with Resilience instead of Haven or Veteran, because you really just need them to get tankier. You don't really need them at all, necessarily. But still, they're better than the rest of the options. So, what are the other items? Do you think you need Deft Hands? Look at how fast this is. Nope, you don't need Deft Hands. We've already explained the situation with Bulldozer being absolutely worthless, even against, you know, Cripple Inara. Core Rise is going to be replaced with Provision, which is an item that is completely useless on not just Barik, but most of the roster. Nimble, you don't really need Nimble all that much. I mean, you're Barik, you're not gonna be zooming around or dodging more because you have Nimble. Illuminate, well, it's not exactly your job to see the enemy stealth champion, is it? You're not gonna jump on Strix or jump on Shaolin or anything like that. No, you're not just gonna, you're just the point tank. So, Illuminate, why? Guardian is an absolutely hilarious item because tier 3 of it, you know, 21% more shields, is completely countered by tier 1 of Wrecker, right? I mean, look at this, 21% for something that costs you 300 plus 600 plus 900. It's 1800 to counter a 250 item, 250 creds. Really? Nah, Guardian is absolutely useless on every tank. Literally. And morale boost, well, your ultimate is only supposed to be used during the point fight. So you only need to ult once. So why would you even consider running morale boosts? Kill to heal? Well, if you're cauterized by 90%, by the way, you know, these two cards are not affected by Rejuvenate. These are self-heal cards. So if you were cauterized for 90% of the heals, this heals you for exactly 90 health when you or a teammate finishes one of your kills. You know, you get a kill or an elimination. It's absolutely useless. Now, keep in mind, the patch notes actually mention a buff to Genos. I need to explain this because, you know, Genos before Season 5 used to heal for 180 every 1 second for 10 seconds. Now he's gonna heal for 200 every 1 second. He's still gonna be super bad. But the reason I need to explain this is, back in 2019, when Genos was meta, people actually played Barik with Genos, and some of them actually bought Life Rip for multiple reasons. Well, one, let's take a look at the loadouts, or something similar to the loadouts that were used back then. I'm just gonna need you to focus on these two cards, okay? So assume that you're out of cauterize and only have one turret active. By the way, healing station does not stack if you have two turrets, so you don't heal for 150. Okay? Field deploy does stack if you have two turrets, but doesn't affect the talent forge fire. So 75 from healing station plus 40 because you only have one turret is 115 healing per second. Okay? So how much value is that? Well, it's half a Genos heal all the time if your turrets aren't being destroyed by a blaster, which is why this loadout is called No Blaster Self Heal. So you have half a Genos heal all the time on yourself. So if you use your shield to get out of cauterize for a bit, this will heal you for around 600 health while you're out of cauterize behind your shield. It's actually closer to 450 since you need some time to get out of cauterize even after you deployed your shield. It's kind of good, but here's the thing, it's a heal for 115, right? Well, in order to demonstrate this well enough, I'm gonna need to show you what Life Rip does. So, Life Rip 1. Alright. I'm being healed for 50 every second, because Barik shoots once every second. That's assuming I'm fighting at this distance, by the way. Now, if I move way far back, like for example here, 26. I'm getting healed for 26 now. 25. Yeah, I'm at full HP. I need to get some damage first. Alright. So, 50. That's just from Life Rip 1. What about Life Rip 3 instead? 120, 149, 147, 150. Yeah, it kind of depends on how much damage you deal. And if you deal a headshot, you do get healed for more. You know? 125 is kind of a Genos heal, right? Every second. But of course you're not going to be dealing that many headshots anyways. So, Life Rip used to be good when Genos was good, because it kind of made it possible to, you know, have a solo support Genos with Barik. But Life Rip is not good in this meta, or in Season 5. Sometimes if you're in a super low elo lobby, and your support is kind of doing bad, maybe consider buying it, but only at a super low elo lobby. Only. Now let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the default loadout. Now let me tell you a few things. This card is available in one or two of the default loadouts, and it increases the duration of your shield, your barricade. So why is this an issue? Well, simple. Everyone's gonna be buying Wrecker, so your shield will definitely be destroyed and not just disappear because it ran out of time, its duration ended, right? So Foundation, the card, is absolutely worth nothing. Another card that is weird is Bunker. So this gives you half the effect of the talent Fortify in exchange for 5 points. Do you really have 5 points to waste on this? I mean, it's really not that good either as a filler, because 200 health, I mean, probably useless. So I really hate seeing these two cards, Bunker and Foundation, when I look at Barrack loadouts. And one more thing, One Man's Treasure is a card that is completely dependent on your team snowballing, and the only thing that is good about it is that it can potentially prevent trades. How? Well, simple. Your team gets an elimination for you, you know, by finishing someone off. You get your shield cooldown back, you put your shield up again, and now that shield saves you or someone else. So it's an anti-snowballing card. But that's all there. I mean, it's not an anti-snowballing exactly. It's an anti-trading card. That's the right term to use for it. Now, of course, you can use it at 1 point as a filler, or 2 points maybe at max, but more is just kind of a waste because you have to get an elimination for this to activate and give you something. No, just run One Man's Scrap instead, despite it having half the value of the reduction, but you might actually have 2 turrets up at a time, so yeah, you can theoretically get the same value from One Man's Scrap. Still, way better card since, you know, you don't need to wait for an elimination for it to happen. Keep in mind that a loadout similar to this is probably what's gonna be the best option versus most compositions in Season 5. Of course, I myself don't really like double time, but I do admit that it is still good as long as you manage your shield's cooldown so that you can get out of cauterize, or you double dash to safety so that you could get some value out of at least the second dash. It's good because it lets your support have some more time to heal you or someone else, you know, back to full HP. Let's look at some matches so that you'd understand why Barik is so good. Now, as I've said, at lower elo, if you want to carry and your last pick, Tell someone to save Barik for you, because his damage is too good, and you can actually carry lower elo matches as Barik. Okay, let's look at this match. So 4 masters in here, and 4 masters except 1 platinum, and it's the Kanessa, but it's a high level player, so probably very good player that hasn't been playing ranked or something. So let's go ahead and look at the scores. So damage wise, more than 100k damage on Barik. Yeah, he actually outdamaged his own Drogos. Okay, and Grok outdamaged them both. What about on the other team? Well, Dredge, of course, Dredge gets a ton of damage. Khan kinda does good, okay, here. Genos is really doing well here as well. But look at this, 117k damage, and Roxas dealt 127k, and he was really doing good kill-wise, but not death-wise. Yeah, of course that's gonna happen. Grover is really good. It's just that you need to play around him instead of forcing him to play around you. I don't know if that's what was happening. What's the map, by the way? Oh well, it was Bright Marsh, so yeah, Grover should have been absolutely fine on it. No issue there. Well, let's look at something else, another match. So master, 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 more masters everywhere. Where's Barik? So he dealt 87k damage. Well, not bad, really not bad. He didn't die much. I think he wasn't contested enough. Oh yeah, there's the Fernando. So he was probably shooting at Fernando's shield, which probably doesn't count as damage. So yeah, that's why he didn't do more than 100k, because it was versus the Fernando shield. Let's look at this one. Masters all over. Masters all over. Wow, this I need to spectate this match, see if it's really good. 80 minutes. So let's go ahead and look at this. So 114k damage. Victor did 141. Dredge did 138. You see this? Barik brings the damage. And the KDA is really good here. 12, 6, 25. That's really awesome. Yeah, the enemy team was struggling kind of damage-wise, weren't they? Unbay did really good. Not the top damage, but really close to top damage. And Gross is really good as well. I guess they got unlucky with something. I need to check out what they lost. Why Fernando is... Was Fernando a bot or something? What they died 13 times? I need to check this out. Well, anyways, this is it for the video. I'm really, really happy that there are better Barrack players all around, and I want to help those who aren't as good to get better. So please, keep enjoying Paladins.